Don't brag about your side chicks, especially if one of them is my friend. Been reading some of the stories here and wanted to share mine after having a chance encounter with this guy, who we shall call Butthead, a few years after I wrecked his love life. TLDR at the bottom. To give some context, I'm friends with this girl who was, for the lack of a better word, very dependent. She hooked up with this guy some weeks before I met him. One night the girl invited us out for some karaoke and drinks. The moment my friends and I met her boyfriend, now ex, thankfully, we despised him. He was the kind of guy that spouts alpha male bullcrap. He would say women should be begging to be bred by him, how he was the top of the food chain and how women were meant to take care of the men and their children. Every time he said this sort of nonsense, my friend would laugh it off and she would defend him, saying he was just joking. But we all knew he was being serious. Fast forward to a couple of weeks later and I've been hearing some rumors from friends about Butthead and how he's been seen in some clubs and restaurant with different women. From what I've gathered, he had 2 other girlfriends and he was pretty much mooching off of them. He would live in their apartments rent-free, borrow their cars and even use their cards for bull poop. Some of them would do his laundry or cook his meals. All the while he'd speak sweet nothings to them in order to convince them he was okay and loyal. At first I thought they were just rumors, so I didn't think much of it. That is until I hung out with my friend who wanted an ear to listen to her. She told me about how Butthead would be gone for days at a time and would only appear in her apartment whenever he needed something. This would be food, money, a place to crash or romance. She was suspicious that he was cheating on her, but she thought it was impossible. I simply told her, why not just break up with him? She would go on about how Butthead was a sweet and nice guy. When I pointed out how he was barely in her life and kept using her, she kept defending this guy like he was a literal angel, devoid of all sins. I was worried about her and how this would affect her career, her life and her mental well-being if this kept up. But what could I have done? If I threw the rumors at her, I had nothing to back them up, and in her state of denial she'd just say it was fine. I was in a stump and just told her, do what you think is right. Fast forward another few weeks later. Turns out Butthead and I were members of the same gym. While I was on the treadmill, he came up to the side next to my treadmill and ran with me. I didn't like this guy, but so long as he didn't bother me, then no harm no foul. As we were on the treadmill, he started off with a light conversation such as how's work or you a insert sports team fan. No big deal. Then, as if the universe was giving me a signal, he starts bragging about his girls, or as he calls them, his female dogs. I believe he thought he and I were kin, that all I cared about was getting laid. Point is, he starts showing off pictures of his conquests, as he calls them, and was willing to give me advices on how to get girls like him. In the back of my head, as he's talking a mile a minute about nothing but his noodle and the girls he's screwed, I thought the planets aligned and was giving me the chance to destroy him. So, I played along. For another few weeks he and I would hang out. He and I would work out together, get meals afterwards, or hang out at a bar, like friends. Unknown to him, I had been collecting any and all evidences of the women he had been messing with. Whenever he left his stuff, like his gym bag, I'd rummage through them. If he left his phone, I'd make sure to remember the passcode and get myself screenshots of everything he took of the women he had been playing with. There were a lot. It took me a good while to put up with his bragging and me covering for his drinks just to get a couple of pictures. Some of these were the most nsfw. He would have selfies of himself getting head from some woman. A picture of him with his hands under a woman's shirt. Or just plain pictures he had saved up. It wasn't enough, I needed to do more because I had to make sure my friend understood she was dating a triple scum-sucking leech. Remember those rumors earlier? It was a risk because if they were true, he'd leave his gym clothes and such to be cleaned by one of the women he was taking advantage of. If they weren't true, then what I did would have been a waste. So, I went to a lingerie store and got some lacy black underwear. To know what they were, I saw expensive fancy women's underwear and thought perfect. Bought lipstick and some perfume. Then during one of our sessions in the gym, he left his gym bag for me to look after. At this point I was on a weird roll. I put the underwear in his gym bag, put lipstick on my own lips and planted tattooed them on his shirt and the pants waistline. Yeah, gross. Could have just bought a lip-shaped stamp or something close to it, then sprayed a bit of perfume on it for good measure. I had some weird looks in the men's locker room. Embarrassing? Yes. Worth it? Hell yeah. Earlier that day I handed my collected photos of his cheating ways to the same group of friends that I heard the rumors earlier. I asked them to just hand it to the other two girls, explained to them that he was a piece of garbage that needs to be thrown out. It didn't take much convincing for them to whip out their phones, get copies for me and start texting, sending FB messages and just screaming to their friend to kick Butthead out of their lives. I legitimately wondered if this was gonna work, because if they were really dependent then it wouldn't matter. Next day, I was awake for a good long time, tried to fall asleep, played some video games and even tried to drink myself to sleep. All the while I was wondering if this stupid plan had worked. I left lip marks on Butthead's pants in the men's locker room. Turns out, it did. I was told about how one of the girls found the underwear and, I'm guessing, the rest of the plan had evidence. She had found it as she was about to do his laundry. Like a classic angry wife/girlfriend movie scene, she chucked Butthead's clothes in the garbage bin. She kept the PS4 he had bought because he bought it with her money. The other woman locked Butthead out of her apartment and blocked him on her phone. She tossed his clothes and some other stuff in a garbage bag before donating it to the nearby donation bin and took photos of it for us. My friend, after some convincing from us, broke free, and when Butthead tried to stay at her place she wasn't having it. She canceled the gym subscription she paid for Butthead, cut his access from Netflix and Hulu. Packages he ordered online? She either repacked them as gifts for her brothers or returned. This was confirmed when Butthead texted me asking if he could stay over at my place. I lost it. I had the biggest poop-eating grin ever. I couldn't believe my stupid plan worked. I put up with his alpha male nonsense and had to listen to him belittle women as breeding cattle. Butthead had to go back to his parents' home. The best part of this? My friend was a little stronger after all of this. She took some therapy, got away from the dating scene for a bit, and when she was ready she found herself a guy who, as of now, is completing his residency. She went from dating a moocher to a doctor. He's an awesome guy, shame he's a Patriots fan, but if he makes my friend happy then I'll overlook it. As for Butthead, still living in his parents' home. He's in between jobs, which is just a stupid way of saying he had no job. I had bumped into him in my favorite coffee places. It took a lot out of me not to smile at his unfortunate circumstance. DLDR, I framed a guy who had been using my friend and two other girls like romance toys with wallets. Got him locked out of their homes and forced to live back in his parents' home. Hi guys, please like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. At last a revenge story, and it's even pro, not just BS level. I just imagine the cashier's reaction to some random butt dude buying lingerie and lipstick. I won't forget Amy the cashier. I told her I was using this to frame Butthead. She looked around and handed me her employee discount before saying F that guy. The universe really wanted me to take that guy down. Ultimate white knight. That's bordering nuclear revenge. Very well done indeed. Damn good job op. You are a true friend that actively looked out for other people. How did you get the idea for the revenge BTW? Generic rom-coms from the 80s 90s, some telenovelas and even mangas. Did you ever let him know it was you? What did you tell him when he asked to stay with you? Nope. Never told him it was me. I ignored the texts because it went from overconfident stud to needy kid. I screenshot the conversation and sent it to my friends who were laughing their asses off.